Anywho, so I think I was saying that. Oh yeah, so one thing that I really realized in California that made me think even more about what I like to call the white supremacist philosophy of atheism is that aside from them going back to their overt pagan roots, because Christianity and the different branches are paganism, but overt paganism is like people who know they're pagans pretty much, I would say. Aside from that, and then the idea that like believing in the supernatural is just for like poor people or brown people or uneducated quote unquote third world stupid brown people, and those different things that they believe that it's all just schizophrenia because they don't believe in that and you have to believe what they believe. One thing that I really started to think about more, which I already knew, is that like a lot of quote unquote white people are Catholic. And of course, I know this is happening in mainstream bullcrap Protestant. And it's just like generally most people know that Catholicism, which I like to call pagan Roman Catholicism, is false. Like a lot of people already know that. And people generally already know that like Jehovah's Witness and Mormons and what's the other thing called? It's something else that I think is similar to Mormons, but I can't remember. People generally know that those are false. And those are like the extracurricular Freemason Christian branches, as I call them. But most quote unquote white people are Catholic, and it's already known fact that the Catholic Church is all about SA. And so, like, especially it became more evident to me in California that, like, a lot of Catholic people they end up getting like schizo stuff and they get like this DID stuff where they talk to themselves and they'll like split off and start talking and all that stuff and like things will take over them and start talking. I saw that all the time in California. I know people are gonna say mentally ill homeless people. From one, mental illness comes from trauma, but I'm not even talking about homeless people to be honest. I mean it was those ones too who have been Catholic, but I'm talking about different Catholic people I met in general. Like they all have these like weird spirits attached to them. And I'm not even talking about on like the schizo stuff. I just mean like other things about mannerisms that they had, like not blinking, extremely racist. And I know I've talked about how like I mean generally homeless people aren't allowed in churches. And then in these places with higher homeless populations that are also like mostly quote unquote white areas, like in the West Coast. Um, if you're quote unquote black, they're not going to let you in. They already know that you're probably not from there. You may be homeless because you're black, so you're broke, and you're just there to like try to use the bathroom or ask for food or get something from them, supposedly. So a lot of racial stuff. Like I remember there's this one time I was waiting for the youth shelter in Portland. Surprised to even find a youth shelter, but I was waiting for the one in Portland to open. This was last year. And so I needed to use the bathroom really bad because I just have health issues where I have to use the bathroom all the time. And I had to pee. And so I had tried to like go to this one Catholic church that was about to open for something. And it's like I'm already scared of these people anyways, which I guess that should be my biggest red flag to not try. But anyway, to get to the point, because I'm going way somewhere else anyways. So this lady started cursing me out after she got off her motorcycle, and she was like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm working on my faith. And she said a whole bunch of stupid, crazy stuff that I can't even really remember. And she just looked scary at that. And this is why I say, I know people are going to be mad about this regardless, but like most quote unquote black and white people have like the Jezebel spirit and a couple other ones. Especially because like that's always in movements against the chosen people or just anointed people in general. So of course it's always going to be against true Yasharel or quote unquote black people. So of course like most white people would have it because it's like one of the biggest spirits in white supremacy. But people are always talking about the angry black woman and stuff like that. Not that the Karen didn't get her attention or the mean girls in general, which is all the Jezebel spirit, but it's like white people generally have that really, really bad too. And that's why one of the reasons why I made my whole playlist about the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, because it goes over that and how like they can raise kids that get labeled off as quote unquote psychopaths, which I hate these labels, but they can raise kids that get labeled off as quote unquote psychopaths even without actually physically abusing their kids. I mean, a lot of them, they do that as well. They do quote unquote corporal punishment and SA, obviously. But even the ones who aren't doing all of that, they just do the usual manipulative, weird stuff, like the Mom and Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, and they can still end up raising somebody that people consider a quote unquote sociopath or psychopath, like people consider Greg from Diary of a Wimpy Kid to be. So, but that's like another story, to be honest. So, anyhow, to get back to the point, what was it? Oh, yeah. And I've been thinking a lot, like, the past couple weeks that, like, of course I know about the spirit of religion, but it's like, honestly, I would really say that being religious in general kind of can set you up to get spirits that make you schizo / have OCD, but that could be its own video, especially for using it as a coping mechanism or whatever. But anyhow, so yeah, I don't remember why I put that in there, what it's supposed to have to do with anything. I think maybe just getting to the point that like the kids became demon possessed, but also it's just like an effect of one, the abuse, and then two, just being religious in general can give you like some spirits, especially for these like these weird off branches of Bible flip arounds made by like European Gentiles with just like a lot of weird doctrine and stuff like you see in Children of the Corn. And so anywho, first movie, 1984. Isaac takes out the adults because the spirit behind the religion tells them adults aren't pure. Is that really what it said? Because I've been thinking a lot about like stuff like that in the idea of quote unquote purity. I don't remember much about taking these notes, but that's interesting because I've been thinking a lot about the idea of purity and age, not revolving around the minor crisis and 18 obsession bullcrap, but like real stuff. I've been thinking a lot about that, which even goes into the video I made about all the chomo sex preds I encounter on a daily basis, and specifically the one dude who was like, um, are you a boy or a girl? Either way, I don't discriminate. You're a really good looking kid. I think it was that video, but I went over like how there's this one predator catcher bullcrap channel because I don't like predator catcher stuff. It just helps around people helping real victims because they know they legally aren't supposed to. And so anywho, there was this one dude and they asked him like why he hurts kids, and he said it's because of the light in them. And I do notice like then younger people, not that like older people don't have it, but like especially with people 40 plus, they often are set in their ways, and there's a lot of stuff with that. And I've always said that I've always had issues throughout my whole life with people 40 plus, especially. Not that I've ever gotten along with people my age either, but that's just like a really big thing. Like even with the sexual predators, typically they're 40 to like 80. And so the other thing, next bullet point, quote unquote, if you tell, you'll burn in the lake of fire forever. I don't even remember what this was about, to be honest. I just took that note, but I don't remember what it was about, or what it had to do with what, or what the scene even was. But it just makes me think back to abuse in like SA and stuff. But I can't even really remember. But this does make me think about my video, which I re-uploaded it again because I can't find the other one where I like edited the size because the canvas was really off in the first one and you can't see all the messages. But my video from 2022 titled "Dang kids, you are the family scapegoat," pretty much, where this lady was talking about how I am the family scapegoat. No, it was titled someone's response to my relative smear campaigning me all over the internet the first time I tried to run away. And so in her comments, she also talked about some of her situation escaping a cult and running away, and how she got essayed in the church and nobody cared. Everybody called her crazy for talking about it, and they just told her that it was her fault anyway because she wasn't a virgin anymore. And that's what that line makes me think about, but I don't remember what it was actually from, to be honest. So next bullet point. Appear to be Caucasian European Rev 29s in a small cult town. I don't really remember what this was about, but it makes me think about my the dream I had that I titled Kidnapping Society from. Okay, so I had my dream that I titled Kidnapping Society 11/21/20, which was just kids wearing black suits and black hats, similar to Rev 29s or Orthodox Rev 29s in like New York or something more so. Because all of them aren't Orthodox, and you can't tell them from really any other quote unquote white American. But anyhow, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, they just were like wearing those, and they were like living in like an underground like tunnel city, which even goes into human traffic stuff. And they were just a bunch of like, it was only the boys though, which is interesting because even like when I was in New York, I noticed that like you never see the girls or even the wives or anything like out in public. You just see like the dads with the signs for Orthodox, because people get them mixed up and they seem to forget that like these are just European people. So yeah, they were just walking through an underground tunnel, and that was pretty much it. And yeah, I was about to go into something else that was kind of relevant. But one thing that I can say though is that Malachi definitely looks like a Swedish Rev 29 though. Next bullet point gives Peter Pan vibes, and then that was it. This does actually make me think though. It even makes me think about what's that place called in California? I'll probably just have to put in the description to be honest. It's like some town that's known to be Christian. I know there was like this one famous deliverance minister guy that would go there sometimes for deliverance events. Don't know what all they do there, but generally the town is considered a Christian town. But I know TMV Celestial. I know she had mentioned like there's a lot of traffic in there, which it doesn't surprise me, but I can't remember what it's called. But I will put in the description though, when I remember. Okay, 1992. The adults got lazy and stopped farming and killed their and the kids killed their parents. Pretty sure that's what I meant to put. Okay, note. And then notice the next bullet point. Religious principles put in society is used to put youth and others with no rights at the at the bottom. Because I had to find the next page. 421-26. Why children of the corn are the good guys. In every one. In every agenda that's pushed, the youth get the bad end of the stick. 2. Kid equals sacrificial lamb. Or really, I think it meant sacrificial goat, if I'm remembering right. But at the bottom, if I didn't already say that, which I probably did. Next bullet point, notes. Instead of sacrificing and harming/disciplining the youth for their wrong and supposed wrongs, they sacrifice adults and create power from the purging of their evil. Their blood is justice and power. That's my note. My next note. And next bullet point. The American quote unquote minor crisis has messed people's heads up. There's light and power in people not stuck. I'm so confused in their ways. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I think like Next bullet point, 1995. Abusive father, dash, used dark magic to fight back after seeing the religion. Light used, light used against the youth. I'm trying to remember what this was even referring to. I did write all this in the dark as well, so I don't know, but I'm trying to remember the scene though, because it seems like it could be like a good point, but it's like, I don't remember the abusive father scene, to be honest. But that was in the 1995 one, so maybe it's supposed to say religious officials light used against, I don't remember. Albert Pike, quote, Lion Preacher Dad, 2 stories of religious trauma in INGA. I'm so confused. Okay, but the Albert Pike quote though, which was, trying to remember. Pretty much like, eventually Christians will come into the pure doctrine of Lucifer, because the reality is that like Christians, just like all religions, really do worship Lucifer unknowingly, and they're going to be the ones to push for the Antichrist, and even like I think it was in Revelations, if it wasn't Matthew 24, that said they're going to kill you and say that they're doing God a service, and yeah, so then it was something else. Oh yeah, and then I know like I made that post a couple weeks ago going over this video I found about Satanism in the white community, which is another video, aside from even a rock song, that I could put in a playlist that I probably will do, that goes back to what I like to call the Caucasian addict projection of how their drug issues that actually stem from the hippie and the rock era have been made the face of homelessness. But anywho, that Satanism PSA or whatever really does go over that. Or I guess it's like a documentary as well. But anyhow, this lady near the end said that like the record label was lying to kids and telling them that Christians were gonna uphold Satanism and bring Satanism out, and pretty much, and she was like, this is completely not true. Actually, it's 100% true. In the video, they were kind of right about everything else but that, and of course they wouldn't be. Crap, even that post I made earlier with the link to that video I found of this Christian guy reacting to this kid talking about how Christianity ruined his life. And honestly, he's not wrong. The dude making the video, he just gives off a bad vibe and is weird. And it doesn't surprise me, because like most Christians, especially pastors, they're Freemason Luciferians anyways under the Catholic Church. They have to be. So it's kind of whatever. But anywho, so the point of me mentioning that is that Children of the Corn and like the whole thing that's going on with these weird religious Christian towns, which is really a really real and big thing. And you know, people always talk about like church and black culture. Most quote unquote white people are definitely atheists, but it's like when they're not, they often are like in these weird religious Christian sects and these weird European Bible flip arounds, especially in these small towns. Like even in the interview documentary PSA type thing, the American Street Kid documentary about homeless kids in LA. Yeah, it was LA because it was at Venice Beach. Like I know there's this one boy in there who was he said he was from Michigan, I think, and he was like he doesn't believe in God, and if you don't believe in God, then you're pretty much an outcast. And then just the God thing, just the ineffable name doctrine, just that issue alone. Anywho, where was I at? And then I still don't even remember what the scene actually was, but I guess according to my bullet pointer, it reminded me of the whole thing that happened when I was in Cali, where the pedo chomo priest was like, um, you're not effed up yet. It can still be saved. And this is the same priest who was like, you're a beautiful 13-year-old, and um I'm not gonna let you tempt me with your prostitution. And of course I didn't want to go be a living sex slave. So he did the thing that everybody does when you deny stuff like that. they go on and rant about how you're not ready for change and you don't want better, and you got to be ready for change and ready for better for your life to change and to fix your situation. It's funny how people never go on rants like that when you're in the abuse situation, but once you run away or you get kicked out, then all of a sudden people have all these things to say to you because now you're quote unquote bummed to them. So now they have all these rants going about you needing help, but when you were in the abuse situation begging for help that doesn't exist anyways, nobody had anything to say about that. Now once you save yourself, people come to you talking about how you need help and all that stupid stuff. Anywho, Chomo, youth rights story. I guess I was supposed to say youth rights. I don't even know. Like I said, I wrote this in the dark and I have no clue, but I write too fast. But that's why I'm gonna. Well, actually, no. I shouldn't even have to put like the different videos about the different movies in the description because they should all be in the Children of the Corn playlist anyways. Because I made that playlist like well over a year ago. Honestly, I think 1996 question mark because I wasn't really sure which one this was. Josiah. I can't even breathe. Josiah used as cash grab. Then adults turned away. I think it was something like some kid was being used as like a child priest and they were like making money off of him. But then either when he got older, when something happened, the adults stopped giving a crap about him and just left him alone. Not that they ever cared, but they stopped like using him and he felt like abandoned or something. It was something like that. Next bullet point, clairvoyant can see people's auras. I think this has something to do with the girl who's drawing pictures of the future. So yeah, next bullet point. Note, under 40 to 30 can still turn away. That's just my own thoughts, because that's the notes. Okay, quote, next bullet point, quote unquote. Oh yeah, this makes me think about one of the videos, or one of the first couple videos in my hypothetically pedo or hypothetically paraphilia playlist, whatever it's called. Quote unquote, 28 isn't young. That's the danger zone. Of a whole bunch of sex prey guys' comments, pretty much, and that's one of the thumbnails for one of the videos, and that video may also be in my Drowning Files Are Annoying / Drowning File Agenda playlist. So yeah, it makes me think about that. Like looking for people, I don't know what I almost said. Looking for people that are supposedly young and easy to take advantage of. All that, I don't know. But next bullet point: voodoo is Catholic, and then I put Santeria. That's just like a note, I guess. Note. Next bullet point. Eventually, you will become impure, tainted, and evil too. So my own thoughts, that's what that was. 1998, next bullet point. Teen sacrifice at 18. Although in another video somebody said 19, but I'm not really sure. American 18 obsession, Peter Pan complex, and pedo. Don't remember what all supposed to go into that. The biased idea of a quote unquote child, or you're a child until ... Alleys on... I don't even remember what that's supposed to mean, but next bullet point, I guess. All children are pure until adults teach them otherwise. Ezekiel puppet mind control. I guess that's kind of like a side bullet point about the MK Ultra that was going on and how like somebody named Ezekiel was being used for like some type of puppet witchcraft, which is an actual thing, but I don't remember much about that. Isaac Returns. I think that was the name of the film. So next bullet point. Adopted teen plot. 2009, next bullet point. Revelation. Grandma wasn't supposed to escape the cult. Okay, I don't remember what that was about, really. Next bullet point. Genesis. But I put Genesis is. So I don't even know. Sowing seeds of kindness. Watch older kids have sex? Question mark. I think I do remember that part of the movie because I had to watch them so much when I was younger back in the day. LOL. Next bullet point. Essay. Oh no. Sacrifice yourself at 18, which is still confusing because I also heard 19 in like some people videos, but I don't really remember what age it was. But crap, they're doing it really late because Peter Pan was killing people at 11 and 12. So okay, so next bullet point. SQL Gen. Don't know what that's supposed to mean. Um, Something about a sex dungeon with kids. I don't really remember what that part of the movie was about. Next bullet point. People have visions and dreams and scribe drawings. I think that's going back to the thing with the girl poltergeist. Next bullet point. 10th. Runaways. Don't remember much about that either. Next bullet point. Fred with unborn child. Oh, fled with unborn child. Which that's of course revolving around the before the birth of Jesus, the whole thing with Mary and hiding in Egypt and stuff, and then even the whole thing with the 12 tribes and the constellation or the supposed constellation, the woman riding the whore riding the scarlet beast or something like that, and the 12 tribes and having to hide before the beast devours the child, and that's what that makes me think of, but I don't think that's what I was thinking about when I took note of that. I don't really remember what I was supposed to say when that goes along with that bullet point, but I don't know. Next bullet point, possession. Next bullet point, son Aaron, which is Aaron was the priest, the I think the first priest in the Levitical priesthood, but I could be wrong. I know the very first priest was other than maybe like a Adam, of course, was supposed to be Enoch, but then there was a Levitical priesthood, and the first one was Aaron. So, son Aaron kills mom and preaches. That's the note that I took. That it just sounds funny in that order. 11:53 p.m. Okay, next bullet point. 1984. A question not my judgment, Malachi. I'm the giver of his word. That's always been my favorite quote from Isaac. I don't know why. Other than the he wants you to Malachi thing. I was going through my notebook to see if there was like another page about this, but I think maybe I'm done. But since I found a page from 510 where I took some more notes on the whole Dear Dumb Diary thing, I might as well read this because it goes into this video anyways. My old concept, reverse eugenics. I don't even think I can say that word on here. Dear Dumb Diary, Perfect People song, which should be in the description. 1. Being under trauma, MK Ultra, MPDs you, I don't know what that's supposed to say, but I know it helps with like you being creative and stuff and like mild after daydreaming. In fact, one of the things that always related to when it comes to Dear Dumb Diary, which I'm pretty sure the girl in that movie, she's in other movies, she's an industry plant born into the bloodlines or whatever, or at least born into the industry definitely, and is definitely under MK Ultra. The one of the things that I always related to in that movie was like how much you mild after daydream. Like watching that movie will make you think that mild after daydreaming is considered normal. And one of the things about it is like, at least in the movie setting, she's like a seeming to be rich white girl. So it's like if she was like in real life, anyways, if she was doing like all the stuff that she's doing and has going on in her head, and she was like a boy, especially a boy with like less money or like a melanated boy, she would get the ADHD label and be thrown on all types of drugs. They would probably even call her schizophrenic with OCD as well. And honestly, even if she was like a poorer white girl, she would probably get the OCD label. But if she was melanated, then they'd be like, nah, you're schizophrenic. But yeah, that was always interesting to me, like all the maladaptive daydreaming that she does, and it's like, I don't know, it's just really relatable with the music. Some of the stuff I don't know. P.S. God of Theater essay Medea Jezebel. So I'm supposed to put that playlist in the description. That's what I got out of that. Side note, second bullet point. Look at the E.T. movie boys audition. A toddler should never be able to cry on cue unless something has happened to them. Especially MK Ultra as well. Because like generally, even with the traumas, like typically I mean, it's very obvious with the whole situation. If I can find the video, I'll put it in the description. But the E.T. movie's audition video with the boy who played the little boy, he was like 4 or 5 years old. He shouldn't be able to cry on cue unless some serious stuff has happened. But it makes sense because like typically the people that are picked for these like really influential roles are going to be in the bloodline or in the industry or in industry families, and they're going to be industry plants under MK Ultra anyways. And it also makes me think about actually a clip of Jeanette McCurdy. I think it was an interview where she was talking about her book I'm Glad My Mom Died. But in a clip of Jeanette McCurdy, she had actually shared stories of like how she was able to cry on cue and why, and how that's never a good sign, which I mean people should know that anyways. But okay, try number 2. So, my phone may have overheated or something, but this doesn't really work anyways. But I'm trying to think, because it's actually cooler out here than it's been since, like, it got cold during the winter. It's like 78 degrees, and it's usually like 98. So, for try number 2, pretty much, I'm attempting to finally make the video about why children of the corn are the good guys. And I guess I might as well start off with a summary for just in case this, like, stops recording, which I guess if it did, it probably wouldn't save anyways. And it's like, one, it goes over what I like to call reverse eugenics. The people who are harming everybody, who are considered at the top of society, and no, I'm not talking about quote unquote elites, I'm talking about parents, grown-ups, quote unquote. Yeah, especially them. So, abusers, pretty much. Those people being pretty much banished from society, and youth rights, youth being able to defend themselves, and generally, especially in like some of the Children of the Corn movies more than others, it seems like all they really did was take the false flipped around pagan religion of Christianity that was forced onto them and started using it to their advantage to defend themselves from abusive adults who also didn't care about the environment. In fact, there was one of the Children of the Corn movies really like reminded me of the Greta Thunberg, whatever in the world. She's definitely an industry plant, but it made me think about her more so the video that LT Corbis made about her, which I'll put in the description. It's already in my playlist that's titled Corn, or the corn emoji, which I made some months ago in quote unquote preparation for this video. So yeah, that LT Corbis reaction is in there, and it's really funny too. So reverse eugenics is a term I made up pretty much, but the movie Dear Dumb Diary does make me think about that because of that one song titled Perfect People that I put in the description. And then I'm trying to think about what else. Oh yes, so it takes a village to raise a child, but if they don't feel its warmth, they'll burn it down. That's one bullet point pretty much. 2, I had to watch scary movies every day from being like a literal baby, even before age 4, up until at least 10, especially Chucky and Stephen King movies. So, yeah. 22126, first bullet point. Sixth Commandment culture slash Red Rum is evil culture equals a martyr complex. And I talk about what I have discovered to be martyr complexes all the time. Two of which, wait a minute. One I call Sixth Commandment culture, and then the other one I call the Dronophile agenda slash Dronophiles are annoying, which is a playlist. And pretty much, the first one's about how people, how in society we're made to feel like self-defense is evil, and that you either have to be the victim or the perpetrator, but you can't be a hero to yourself or others. And then with the Dronophile agenda, it's mainly pushed by women who are accidentally really actually working for sexual predators while thinking that they're speaking against them. And it's a lot to go into right now, but generally, traumatized women, especially who have been dating 45-year-old men since 12, or quote unquote dating, who now feel like if they're not the victim, they're the bad guy. So they typically never stop dating people who are too old for them, but then they'll try to make other people and even kids feel like a quote unquote pedo, which that word is always used wrong, for dating people who are actually their age. And honestly, it kind of makes me think about the people who are upset that they're not virgins anymore. And I'm not talking about SA. I mean, people that haven't been SA, people that just like lost their virginity to like a boyfriend or girlfriend, and so they're upset about that. So they make fun of you for being a virgin because they wish they still were. That's what the Dronophile agenda really makes me think of. Like, they're mad that maybe that you're not online like dating like 7-year-olds, and so they want to make you feel like a bad guy because they're dating people your age pretty much. That's a summary of that, and that's definitely a form of a martyr complex. And I know people are gonna say I'm talking about people that have the choice and option, not people who are like up in the house getting essayed, but most people still won't see the difference. It's generally just an addictive coping mechanism, but at the end of the day, I'll always say you can't make other people feel bad because and feel like they're quote unquote pedos because they're not getting with pedos. And so next bullet point. Older. I don't remember what that's supposed to stand for, but I'm trying to think. Projective heroism. Um I think I was supposed to link my first playlist I made about this at 14, but I don't even really remember. Why abused kids and all abuse victims legally can't defend themselves. Next bullet point. These kids are demon clip. And then next, wait a minute. Next bullet point. When my grandma told me that back in the day parents used to be able to beat their kids to death and I go to jail for it. There's a lot that I tried to say in this the first time I tried to record this, but I'm just gonna summarize by saying, especially when you hear about like the racial stuff throughout history, and really that's only gonna get worse, but when you hear about that, it's like people can say it's generational trauma or spare the rod, spoil the child all they want, but it really sounds no, not it really sounds like literally it was. You you have to like deal with all the racial stuff and people trying to kill you due to racial stuff and ancient bloodline feuds and jealousy, and then you have to go home and get beat on and essayed by your family too. That's really all that is, and people can say whatever they want. I always knew BLM was a psyop anyways, and then of course there's the ALM psyop, because at the end of the day nobody gives a crap about anybody. Next bullet point, LT Corbett's Greta Thunberg video, which is in my Children of the Corn playlist or my corn emoji playlist. Charleston White, which is a COINTELPRO slash crap. What did they change the name of COINTELPRO to? It used to be called Ghetto Informants, but or maybe it used to be called Ghetto Informants, but then they changed the name to COINTELPRO. But then they became the Black Boule. I can't even really remember. Pretty much like Charleston White is the same thing Nardwuar is. if you've ever seen any Nardwuar clips. So the Charleston White clip where he said that these kids are children of the corn these days. And so what I had to say about that, which is in the playlist, and I've always thought, is that traumatized kids who are taking out their anger on the people who hurt them, who looked like them. I mean, you can talk about the generational trauma, self-hatred, Villain syndrome programming that really everybody's under, and especially true Yasharel, and you can talk about the YNs and stuff. But one of the things that I think about with YNs that nobody talks about, honestly, yeah, like the kids taking each other out, that's not a good thing. But realistically, them taking out the same adults in their community who've been beating on them and calling it discipline and essaying them and all the people don't even talk about like all the abused kids that take their self out. Like that's always talked about with like white kids, especially due to like the like back masking and the sigil threads and the different witchcraft that was in the music, especially during the rock era, like how a lot of kids were taking themselves out due to the music, specifically white kids. People talk about that, but they never talk about in general like kids taking their out kids taking themselves out due to like the abuse and essay. And that actually happens a lot in the hood as well, but people never talk about it. They just try to keep it a secret. And then it's like there's already the agenda of the mental health system, but I notice especially with quote unquote black people or true Yashrael, if you ever talk about KMSing, they just say, oh, that's crazy talk, or quote unquote black people don't KMS or hang themselves. But none of that stuff is actually true, to be honest. I mean, crap, I remember in the hood I lived in, one girl who, her mom didn't care that she was getting bullied at school or essay by the boyfriend, so she hung herself, although my mom's boyfriend never believed that the girl hung herself because she was like 7 or 8 anyways. He believed that really somebody hung her themselves, and I wouldn't be surprised with that either, to be honest. Then there was this other boy, he SHOT'd himself in the head, and if I'm remembering right, I mean, he was also in the same family where like some of the kids got taken into CPS because one of them got hit by a car trying to cross the street, and the mom said she didn't care. That's not funny, but that's just like, but yeah. And then there was another. Oh yeah, then the dude that locked himself in his trunk and shot himself in the head in the neighborhood, and then everybody was crying and pretending that they cared, and he kept asking people to talk to him. He said he wanted somebody to talk to, and none of the quote unquote grown ups, as they call themselves, cared, and so then he just did that. That's all really common, but the thing is, nobody gives a crap about anybody. And there was something else with that. Oh yeah, and then I remember my mom was on the news crying and all that bull crap. And then I remember my dad was like, "Your mom always finds a way to be on the news." And yeah, she was always on the news in the early 2000s. She somehow always found the camera to get on screen. But anyhow. So there was that, and then there was. I'm looking for the next bullet point. Oh yeah, but I just get the bigger side to the YN thing. People that have become really, really angry due to all the abuse and trauma throw the poverty stuff to the side, and I mean, still there's like the land curses. I forgot what they're called. The principalities of like red rum and stuff over like Chicago and all that. Then there's a music agenda, but it's like aside from that and the generational self-hatred from the racial stuff, they have a reason to be angry at the people in their community for all the abuse and torture and the neglect. It makes sense that they're out there taking each other out, but it would make more sense if they were taking out the adults than necessarily the other kids. And that's what I have to say about that. So maybe Charleston White will not. Hopefully he doesn't see that, because since he's a COINTELPRO informant, he works for the FBI. He's always wiretapped. He's always getting people locked up. So nah, never mind. He'll report me to the FBI so quick. They probably already watch my videos anyways. So next bullet point. 2022 re-upload. When parents love their kids to death, literally. The other side to the ABORTION rhetoric. I'm trying to remember how that was supposed to tie in. I guess like with that in my playlist about projective heroism. No. Well, yeah. Like it goes into the self-defense thing. Parents can legally take out their kids for no reason, but you can't even defend yourself against a parent for a reason. And like crap, I still have the videos of the whole Shane situation where the dude who was in love with me and his own kids was running around bragging about all that and other stuff he was doing to people, and then the police were helping him sexually harass me and all that. And it's like I remember when Shane had went on that rant about the Menendez brothers thinking that they were gonna get out and how you can't get out after taking out your parents. And Shane would also go on rants about especially with this other dude about how touching his kids and touching his daughter, and how his parents did the same to him, and how they quote unquote raised him right, and they would whoop him and they would make him sweep the porch all day. And it's like this is exactly something that I've talked about, especially since 10, but especially 12 to 14. When it comes to all the cognitive dissonance and the whole I turned out fine, they did the best they could, when you won't acknowledge that abuse is abuse, you're more likely to do it to somebody else. Not that I'm making up excuses for them, but I'm just saying, if you think that your parents essaying you and beating you up and making you sleep the porch for 24 hours straight is doing what they're supposed to do, you're more likely to do it to somebody else because it's okay, and everybody says it's okay, and that's what's supposed to happen to kids. Not that I still don't like him, but that's the type of people that society likes anyways. These are the people that get what they want in society. So next bullet point. Now, I can't even really say the name on here, but Margaret. That's probably spelled wrong anyways. Sanger, the founder of the PP clinics, as I call them, which was created for a racial agenda, and of course, eugenics, to take out true Yashriel especially, but even other melanated people and poor people. That's what PP clinics are really made for. And even really that's what birth control is mainly made for as well, for racial reasons. Which is why you see these people going into these different countries giving out birth control. Which actually, funny enough, there's a video of an interview done by the School of Hard Knocks boy. And this Nigerian dude that he interviewed was actually mentioned how Africa's a growing population and has the biggest population of kids, and yeah, of course they're going to be trying to take them out because one, white people have been going extinct for forever, and they were already always a minority. Of course, as a recessive hybrid type people, and then two, what's the other thing with that? Oh yeah, and then like with all the anti-kid agendas. And like I said, I have the video, which is a re-upload actually, from like 2023 or 2024, titled When Parents Love Their Kids to Death Literally, which I'm going to put in the description. And so like I do actually get some of like people's stories about like not wanting kids. I mean, it makes sense in general. Somebody shouldn't be forced to have kids, but there's also a depopulation agenda, which goes on with the Georgia Guidestones. And generally, it's really not good for people to have them to abuse them, but there's a lot of, it's still selfish like intentions behind it, because it's people mainly saying, well, I wish I was aborted, and so I'd rather not have kids because I don't want them to possibly go through this and to possibly be saved, to possibly be trafficked, and due to my own fears and my own insecurities and me not wanting to be alive and me wanting to take myself out, I'm going to project that onto the kid that I either am about to have or haven't had, and so they don't deserve to live. It's still selfish and adultism, but I get the point though. I would say that they actually have a better argument than pro-life or pro-birth people, because really I get what people mean when they say they're not pro-life, they're pro-birth, and that is true. People aren't pro-life, they are just pro-birth. The real argument on both sides is whether they should take out kids now or take them out later. It make them slowly suffer and pass away. And I've even had people ask me, especially when I was in Cali, Wouldn't you have rather been aborted than be an abandoned, abused, traumatized, neglected, homeless kid? And the question makes sense, especially because I was supposed to be an abortion anyways, but it's still like, I mean, I don't even really know. I'd said no then, but now I don't really know how to answer it. Anywho, Catholic, Catholic priest. Oh wait, no, I forgot a bullet point. Hold on, I'm skipping stuff actually. Next bullet point: why anti-racism is racism. Anti-racism is a lie. I think I'm supposed to put that video in the description if I'm remembering what these notes actually meant right. Next bullet point: cornfield and environmental crisis scene. I already mentioned that somewhat. I don't really remember much of the scenes, to be honest, or even what scene came from what movie. I did watch like a little overcap about the different films, or I watched a couple videos about that, but there was a lot of movies and I just don't remember exactly what was what. But generally, I remember that like this boy was talking about how they need to care about the environment and global warming or something. Then the grown ups in the church and the priest, which I think was his dad, just told him to shut up pretty much. And that just goes into like anti youth rights and the term made by the Chomo Catholic priest, quote unquote, children are meant to be seen, not heard. And I just got bit by an ant. Ah, crap, or something. Okay, so hold up. Children are meant to be seen, not heard. The next bullet point, which also goes into these related terms, or fear tactics and brainwashing. What happens in this house stays in this house, quote unquote, which is really common. Stay in a child's place, quote unquote, even though neither a quote unquote child or a child's place exists. Next bullet point: spirit of religion dash Catholics hear and see things. Oh yeah, so I mentioned in this one video, or maybe a couple, but I know especially this one video, I think it was that one, where I talk about how this Kundalini cult in California had tried to drag me in, and this lady was like, I ran away from my abusive family too, and I was locked in a trailer with a whole bunch of kids getting abused, and all types of stuff was happening, and quote unquote, wait, not quote unquote, I meant to say blah 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 blah, quote unquote. God has a family for you, something 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 something, blah 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 blah, quote unquote. Join us, and pretty much stuff like that, trying to lure me into the cult. But luckily, I have discernment. I'm not really desperate enough for that. And it's like, I don't know, it's just a weird little hippie white situation to even be in. Like, I would just feel out of place even being there. And there was this one guy, he would go there, but a Kundalini false deliverance ministry. And there's a lot that I could say about that, but I have a whole video of me talking about that situation right after the fact. I was supposed to make a video going back to that cult, but I just never got the chance to because of like money stuff. Then, but being chronically ill, especially with my health being worse, then I just couldn't do all the walking back, and because it was in a mountain for one, so that's a long story. But anyhow,